without having to impose a time limit. Priti Patel.
Speaker, and I rise to speak very much to new clause 2, which is the offence of failing to comply with relevant duty. And I do just want to pay tribute to my honourable friends and right honourable friends who have championed new clause 2 to strengthen the protections for children by introducing criminal liability for senior managers. Madam Deputy Speaker, we've discussed this issue already in this House, in the Chamber. But I do also want to thank charities and campaigners such as NSPCC for raising awareness and also for being constructive and assiduous on this. And then, of course, the families that have given voice through their own pain and suffering to really give impetus to this issue. And of course, if I may, I'd like to thank the front bench, the Minister and the Secretary of State. We've had constructive dialogue, it's fair to say, and they've listened to our concerns and accepted that this issue had to be addressed. So as we debate this clause and other aspects of this bill today, I think we should begin, as we did last time, Madam Deputy Speaker, with our thoughts on those who face tragedy and distress as a result of accessing inappropriate content online. Children and vulnerable people who've been failed by tech companies and regulation, and of course this is where we have that duty to step up. We have that responsibility to tighten the law, protect children from online harms, exploitation and inappropriate content. And of course that has to be at the heart and centre of a lot of the legislation, not just through this bill, but also going forward. And I think, again, we've touched on the fact throughout the various debates, and I know colleagues have been involved in committee stage as well, technology is evolving and changing constantly, and with that, of course, we've got to keep on building upon insights. Of course, this clause does some simple and straightforward things. It makes senior managers liable and open to being prosecuted for failing to be proactive in promoting and supporting the safety duties in Clause 11 of the bill. And as it stands, the provisions in the bill on criminal liability fall short of what is expected and required. And criminal liability for failing to comply with an information notice from Ofcom is welcome. Ofcom have a very important role to play. I do not need to emphasise that anymore. But of course it does not go far enough, and that's where ministers have obviously recognised this. So I think going forward we actually need to ensure that all the flaws and failings are sanctionable and the laws are changed in the right way. And of course, Madam Deputy Speaker, it's not just the laws through this particular government department that's leading this bill right now. This cuts across other government departments. We've touched on that many times before. And of course, over 80% of the public agree that senior tech managers should be held legally responsible to prevent harm being caused to children on social media. I mean, that's to us, it's a statement of the obvious when we've seen such abhorrent and appalling harms take place. And around 2/3 would want to see managers prosecuted when failures result in serious harm. But of course, harm can happen prior to an information notice being issued by Ofcom. Again, we've discussed that previously. And we need to see, and the public need assurances, that these companies will have the frameworks and those safeguards to actually act with responsibility and be held to account so that children and vulnerable individuals are protected. So this means meaningful actions, not warm words. So this should mean that we have proactivity in developing the software, the algorithms, the technology to be responsive, and ensure, of course, that the measures are put in place to hold people to account, and the sanctions cover, including company law and accountability and health and safety in other areas. Ireland has been mentioned through the passage of this bill, and that's important. And my colleagues, who I know will speak shortly as well, have also touched on the similar provisions. So it's right, Madam Deputy Speaker, that we put these measures in place on the face of the bill for the serious failures to protect children. And also, I'm aware, of course, this is a topical issue, and in fact, a number of colleagues met with some of the tech companies yesterday, as did I, and Tech UK, that this gives us an opportunity to raise the bar in the United Kingdom so that technology investment still comes forward, that the sector continues to grow and flourishes in the right way and for the right reasons, and of course, we want to see that. Yes, I will give way.
I thank the Right Honourable Lady for giving way, and clearly the issues of evolving technology and holding people to account are hugely important. Can I make the general point that digital education could underpin all of these safeguards, if you like, and that too should be conducted in parallel digital literacy teaching, as with all the other good efforts being made right throughout our schools.
Yeah. My honourable friend is absolutely right, and I think no one in this House would disagree with that. And, you know, we have to carry on learning in life, and with that, it leads to technology, other issues as well. But that applies to all of us across the board, for our young people, and having people in positions of authority as well, ensuring that the right kind of information is also shared to protect our young people. But if I may, and I know the front bench will come on to discuss this clause in more detail shortly, I would like to hear from the Minister, my honourable friend, the member for Sutton and Cheam, who's been so good, actually, in engagement on this issue, and I would like to thank him personally, just for the proactive way in which he spent time with all of us. Will we see their amendment prior to the bill going to the other place for its second reading there? And also, for all colleagues supporting Clause 2, I think having an understanding around the clear assurances that provisions we support and could have passed through this House will not be diluted in the other place by ministers, I think that's absolutely vital. And ensuring we should be discussing this today as well, what steps are the government and Ofcom taking to secure the agreement of the companies, the tech companies, to work to ensure that senior managers are committed to being proactive in meeting their duties under Clause 11? Now, recognising a lot of things will flow through secondary going forward, but on top of that as well, the engagement with the tech companies so that they can prepare and be ready for that engagement, and they themselves know what duties will be upon them, is going to be absolutely vital. I think we also need to know what further work is coming forward in terms of guidance and regulation to secure the delivery of Clause 11 duties, and of course hold the companies to account. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, in the interest of time, and I will just shorten my remarks now, I trust and I hope that the ministers will give those details. I think it's important for this debate and discussion today, before this moves into the House of Lords, the other place, to give those assurances. We need to know that those protections will not be diluted. This is such a sensitive issue, and I think we've come a long way, and that's very much thanks to all colleagues across both sides of the House as well. It is important that we get the right outcomes, because all of us want to make sure that children are protected from some dreadful harms that we've seen online.
David.